Hey guys, how's it going? So this is a different kind of side of my collection. These guys are mostly from a game called Super Dungeon Explorer. And you'll see it's this very chibi kind of style of guys. These are actually some of the monsters. So these are their version of trolls. Pretty simply painted, right? But their scale and proportions are very different, obviously, than a normal, let's say, heroic 28 millimeter kind of guy. So these are obviously large monsters. Um, but they're pretty cool. Like this, very simply painted. But I think this guy could you could use him as a normal scale, 28 millimeter large troll. Pretty. He looks like a pretty smart troll as it goes. Not a kind of could be a different race of troll altogether, you know. And then this is kind of a more shaman or leader kind of looking guy. So they have a lot of character in them, and they are quite simple to paint as well because of their scale. These bigger guys, like there's lots of different detail there. A little bit simpler. I think they're more cartoony. I think Chibi is the style, but these guys are a lot of fun. These guys are from a Kickstarter, from the Forgotten King, I think it was that I got ages ago that I painted up. So these kind of a trio here. This kind of some kind of axe thrower guy. But this is just if you're looking to have a different side of your collection, like this guy is from Impact Miniatures. They have a cool range of chibi guys as well. This guy I painted ages and ages ago, years ago. That was in one of my first videos, and just like he's got huge character. Like fair enough, it's a completely different style of scale, as well as a sculpting style, and they can kind of they don't juxtapose. They kind of look a bit weird beside each other. But it depends on how high fantasy or how crazy you want your world to be. Maybe your goblins are look like this, and they actually have huge heads. Maybe maybe it's just it's a little bit more it's crazier, or potentially universes collide, and just anything goes. But they have a different kind of guys here. This guy can be used as well for normal D&D as well. I think this cool kind of trend guy or tree ant. Lots of detail in him. Like this is super quick paint job. Just dry brush, but really cool, fun, silly kind of facial expressions. There's some interesting monsters as well. There's a nice collection that you can get in the starter sets. That there are kobolds in one starter set with some kind of dragon king kind of guys, with the end boss being a big dragon as well. Or this guy's some kind of big bear potentially. Oh, look at that! What's that? Is that a chip? Oh no! Oh, I'm making it worse, am I? Oh, I'll have to fix that. That's horrible. Um, but yeah, so obviously it's a game in its own right, which is actually quite interesting. I've played it a few times. It's kind of based on playing against a console, and it's more like a video game. So when you kill a monster, there's like a chance of getting a heart back, and that can heal you, kind of thing. And this guy is actually from Arcadia Quest, I think is the name of it, which is something similar. I think it's called Cool. It's kind of like Cool Mini or Not's version, their chibi kind of game that came out with Kickstarters. I think there's been two or three of them now at this point, and I've showed this guy before as well. But I just bought him because I think his scale or his proportions are fucking. They're kind of hilarious as well. I think you could get away with him a bit more, being a lava golem or something like this, against this 28 millimeter scale. Like this guy was, I don't know, £7 or something, £6 online, but I thought it was a lot of fun. But you can tell the kind of they do look like they're influenced by video games and that kind of simple art, but interesting stuff. And these guys now, these are something different again that I might show again. I think I have a few more. These are actually key rings from eBay, and I'm pretty sure they're from One Piece. That's what my brother tells me anyway. The anime. He's some kind of pirate guy. So scale wise, they would totally be okay with this kind of idea of miniatures, as in this chibi kind of style. And potentially you could get away with it if if you're into this. If you're not too bothered by the scale and proportions being so different. But these guys were great. I think you get a set of maybe eight of them or six of them for €8, something like that. If you can probably find them cheaper from China as well. And they're pre-painted to not a great standard, but I barely touched these guys up a little bit, but lots of character in these guys. So they are different sculpts. You can do different things with them. I mean, this guy's a bit, maybe he's not very high. He's super high fantasy. Let's say that. Yeah, he's super high fantasy. Maybe he's a bard and he sings or something like that. super high fantasy. Whatever explanation you need to use, um, and you'll see my lazy green stuff work here, covering up what might have been, made in China or something on the back, but it doesn't bother me. Really interesting, guys. I mean, this guy's a vampire or something. I don't know. Like, this guy could be anything. I'm sure he's a character from the show, and they're just on MDF bases. But I'm sure this guy is so somebody recognizes these. I'm sure. But these are a lot of fun. You never know what you can find. Like, keep an eye out. Key rings. That's another thing that can be used for miniatures as well. This guy's like a bouncer or something. He's got, what's that, kind of a kimono, I think it would be called. I'm not too sure. And then his dragon on his back here. But yeah, you can kind of fit them in with this kind of style as well of miniatures. So Arcadia Quest is one, these kind of guys, and they have adventures. They have PC characters that you could use. Super Dungeon Explorer have loads and loads of miniatures. Now they're not; these guys aren't cheap. These guys aren't super cheap. You might get them on eBay for cheap, but the sets themselves aren't super cheap. So this is kind of more on the more expensive side. I actually haven't bought these for ages. I'm just trying to go through the Kickstarter, but lots of character to them. Like, even if you were to pick up these 3 trolls, you could really, I think you could use them for D&D and kind of put them with some goblins. They look quite, I don't know, what's this kind of style? Is it Aztec or something like this? Some kind of influences here with the armor. It's like woven. It's not exactly metal here, I don't think. Maybe they're kind of similar to Warcraft trolls. Or even kind of one-off monsters like this or this. Could be great. If you pick them up cheap on eBay, I'd say keep an eye out, guys. And see what you can do with them. This guy, great character in this guy. Goofy mouth. But yeah, check those guys out and see what you can find out there. Keep an eye out for even different things. Keyrings, you never know what you might get. Scale can be a problem with the keyrings because it's hard to know what you're actually getting. But if you want to chance it, you're going to get something pretty unique, and you can make a cool monster out of it. Right, cheers, guys.